Just 22 miles from Los Angeles, across the Catalina Channel, the city of Avalon beckons thousands of visitors from around the world each year. The island's population peaks in the summer months, and for those privileged few who can call Avalon home, these months are filled with crowds ready to enjoy this island's life. But some who live on this Channel Island oasis are in grave danger. Extinction looms for one of the island's oldest residents, the Catallina Island Fox. No one really knows how long they have been on the island, or how they made the crossing perhaps 5,000 years ago. But one thing is known for certainty, that the native population consider the Catallina Island fox special. With no natural predators, the Catallina Island fox ruled from the rugged interior canyons to the sea. Today, fewer than 200 struggle to survive. The very future of the island fox depends on the efforts of the Santa Catalina Island Conservancy. Santa Catalina Island Conservancy President, Rose Ellen Gardner.
As soon as the Conservancy's board of directors became aware of the crash in the fox population, they immediately and unanimously voted to make the fox project the #1 priority for the Conservancy. It's our responsibility to make sure that the population remains healthy, and we're doing everything that we can to see that that happens.
To implement a recovery plan, the Conservancy contracted with conservation experts, the Institute for Wildlife Studies.
My name is David Garcelon. I'm the president of the Institute for Wildlife Studies. We're a nonprofit wildlife research and conservation organization headquartered in Arcata, California. The Institute is here to assist the Santa Catalina Island Conservancy in their restoration program of the island fox. The island fox suffered a rather huge decline a few years ago due to the introduction of a canine disease called canine distemper. A dog came on the island that had this canine distemper virus, and it was transmitted to the wild island foxes. And unfortunately, island foxes don't have any natural immunity to this disease, and it spread through their population very quickly, and there's a very high mortality rate. So unfortunately, in a very short period of time, within the course of a year, we probably lost 95% of the foxes on the eastern 80% of the island. Some of the strategies we're looking at for conserving the island fox on Santa Catalina Island include vaccinating the remaining population against canine distemper. The vaccine that we used for this program is actually experimental. The California Department of Fish and Game granted us a permit to use this vaccine on the wild population. And that way, if there is an outbreak in the future, then there's a greater opportunity that more of the foxes will actually survive that outbreak because they have some antibody in their system now that we've provided them with the vaccine. Another technique or strategy that we're using to try to conserve the foxes out here is to translocate juveniles from the west end of the island, where the foxes are still doing well, onto the eastern portion of the island where they have suffered the greatest decline.
We're going to bring her over to the release site on the eastern end near the airport, let her go, and hopefully she'll establish a new territory there. And then hopefully they'll breed over there, and we'll help that population.
It'd be nice next year to find 2 or 3 pups in her den.
Yeah.
That's the main goal.
Here at our captive breeding site, we've constructed 12 breeding pens. These 12 cages, we are hopeful, will produce a number of foxes that can be then released into the wild each year to augment those that we're translocating from the west end. First pair that we brought up to place in here from the vaccination trial pens were a male and a female we brought in on Valentine's Day, and we thought that was appropriate to put them together then. And they were sort of a test of the pen. We wanted to make sure that, see how they behaved in there before we brought in our other wild foxes. And they actually did very well together. There was never any aggression between the two. And apparently they liked each other well enough to go ahead and start a little family.
Only a few hours old and weighing just ounces, these are the first Catalina Island pups born in captivity. The foxes soon go from the den box to explore the outside world.
We were hoping that the foxes would not only produce youngsters in captivity, but we would have a big enough area where the young animals would have a chance to learn some of the things that they need to learn before they're released into the wild. We can also introduce the type of prey items they would normally be feeding on in the wild so that their parents can teach them some of the things they need to know to survive.
After months of evaluation and loving care, the day of release for the young captive bred foxes arrives.
I think when the day finally comes when we actually release these captive bred, captive reared foxes and they're going out in the wild, it's going to be a pretty exciting time. And I think that's going to be a time where we're all going to be pretty much having some sleepless nights watching to see what happens, because it's kind of like letting your kids go out for the first time. You know, you're pretty nervous and they're on their own and there's nothing you can do to protect them. But I'm confident that the foxes can do well. They're very much generalists. They eat insects and fruits and small mammals, and there's almost not any place they can't go to find a meal. And we're going to be keeping very close tabs on them. The island fox, it doesn't belong to the Conservancy, it doesn't belong to the state of California, but it belongs to everyone. The Catallina Island Conservancy is funding this entire effort, and it's something that's really to be congratulated for. They didn't waste any time at all. It was just, what can we do to turn this around to see the fox return to the island again?
As the young foxes start their new lives back to the island that all their past generations have called home, their future still remains uncertain. Like all threatened species, only time and the commitment of those who care will determine the final outcome. The Santa Catalina Island Conservancy and its partners have taken the first critical steps on the road to restoration and recovery of a priceless treasure, the Catallina Island Fox.